Tonight, the South Aussie suburbs on a blackout hit list as the national regulator takes unprecedented control of electricity supplies. Also, police actions under investigation after a violent scuffle with eastern suburbs pub patrons. South Australia's lowest paid workers to cash in on a bigger than expected pay rise, when the money will hit accounts. Why the Army invaded the abandoned Holden plant at Elizabeth South, and SA footy legend Russell Ebert awarded the AFL's highest honour.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News with Jane Doyle.
Good evening. Suburbs in Adelaide's northwest have been named as SA's first blackout danger zones as our power crisis deepens. The national regulator has tonight taken the unprecedented step of seizing control of the market in a bid to head off any outages.
In the past 24 hours, South Australia's dodged a blackout bullet.
Were it not for our wind farms, were it not for our solar reserves, were it not for rooftop solar and our big batteries, South Australia could have been in trouble.
And we're not out of the woods yet.
I would say we are facing tight periods ahead.
Generators unhappy with price caps have been pulling their supply, causing chaos in the national market. If we hit crisis point here tonight, this is where the lights will go out first, in Adelaide's west, with Woodville Gardens, Pennington, St Clair and Bowden among those most at risk.
I think it'd be very, very unlikely. There is sufficient supply. They're just not participating in the market.
This afternoon, the regulator launched unprecedented action, forcing generators' hands. In a shock move, it suspended the nation's wholesale energy market for the first time ever. It means it now has control of the grid.
To make sure that we have clear visibility on which generators are available and when in advance, ahead of time.
The Premier says SA could have protected itself from this mess if the former government hadn't sold off our backup diesel generators.
We can now call on those reserves in order to prevent any potential outages in South Australia.
Those diesel generators can be directed on where required.
The energy regulator says the market suspension will be reviewed daily and shouldn't result in a price hike for householders. Andrea Nicholas, 7 News.
And Andrea joins us now. There are fresh outage warnings tonight though, Andrea.
There are, Jane, and we're being told the danger zone will be around 9 o'clock. That's when the regulator's forecasting we could fall short of electricity. If we are forced into a blackout, it should only last for half an hour, but that's unlikely to be the end of it. Similar shortages are flagged from 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Late this afternoon, there were signs the market suspension could be having the desired effect, with warnings about blackouts on Friday cancelled. Tomorrow, the Premier's meeting with National Energy Minister Chris Bowen, where he'll be seeking further assurances for South Australians. That's likely to include some guarantee about no further cost hikes. South Australians have already been warned to brace for an increase next month. Jane.
Thank you, Andrea. A violent scuffle between police and pub patrons, which spilled out onto a main road, has been caught on camera. The vision has raised questions as to whether officers went too far.
Sent to diffuse tension, witnesses say this officer did anything but. Phone vision capturing the moment he shoves a 20-year-old in the chest outside the Maiden Magpie Hotel, the force sending the young pubgoer flying backwards onto McGill Road. But it's far from over. The young patron's head then pushed into the road, stunned motorists forced to slow down as the man's dragged back onto the footpath, his friends yelling at the officer to stop.
Hey, get off him!
They were among a group of 20 who'd just been kicked out of the pub.
Come on!
Police had originally been called here after a jug was thrown at a staff member. A 21-year-old man from Fairview Park was arrested and charged with disorderly behaviour.
He's not the man in these pictures who claims he now has a broken rib. SA Police says it's reviewing the handling of the incident internally. Rosie Barnett, 7 News.
COVID has claimed another 9 South Australian lives. This comes as more than 2,600 new cases were recorded today. The spike's due to a 20% rise in tests after the long weekend. Meanwhile, the mask mandate at Adelaide Airport could be scrapped as early as this week. The airport's awaiting advice from SA Health about whether to adopt the national recommendation. Masks would still be required on planes. 2.7 million Australians will receive a $40 a week pay rise after a landmark minimum wage decision. The 5.2% increase exceeds inflation, making it the largest increase of its kind in 16 years.
The minimum wage gets a maximum increase. Good news for workers like Jack Shortino.
I mean, that's terrific. Cost of living is just going up.
But one person's wage rise is another person's wages bill rise.
I don't really know what I have to do.
Barber Ben Zolfagari says his business will take a big haircut. His prices will have to rise, or else...
If I have to close it, that's what I have to do.
The Fair Work Commission's decision for the 200,000 workers on the minimum wage, $40 a week, a 5.2% increase to $21.38 an hour. And for the 2.5 million on awards pegged to it, $40 a week for those on up to $869.60. Above that, a 4.6% rise.
This level of increase will protect the real value of the wages of the lowest paid workers.
For the government, a political victory. Its submission saw to rise above inflation, currently 5.1%. Or, as the now Prime Minister put it during Seven's Leaders debate,
$1.
And again today.
Just $1.
The result, $1.05 an hour. Those low-paid workers, he says, the heroes of the pandemic.
These workers deserve more than our thanks. They deserve a pay rise, and today they've got it. People will be seeing in their bank accounts what the change of government means.
For most, the increase will be paid from July 1, but delayed for hospitality, tourism and aviation workers until October 1.
There are sectors of the economy which are still struggling to come out of the pandemic.
After a decade of real wage cuts, it's by far the largest increase. The unions had wanted 5.5%, business 3%.
The union movement is really happy with this outcome.
This represents a very significant risk to the economy.
Business says it will add $7.9 billion a year to its wages bill, fueling higher inflation and tighter profit margins.
It could mean that some businesses will have to face the difficult decision to close their doors.
A real increase in the minimum wage, but the fear, with inflation tipped to skyrocket, the wages claims follow, setting off a dangerous feedback loop. Prices and pay chasing each other higher and higher.
I worry that it is going to be tough under Labor over the course of the next 3 years.
The Reserve Bank has warned a wages price spiral could embed high inflation for years. And then Anthony Albanese will really need all the protection he can get. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Australia's top banker is warning inflation could hit 7% by Christmas. That's the highest level in more than 30 years, putting extra pressure on rising interest rates and the cost of living.
Reserve Bank governors only speak publicly when they have something significant to say.
We'll do what's necessary to get inflation back to 2 to 3%.
A warning shot across the Australian mortgage belt. Interest rates will spike. How much?
And it's unclear at the moment how far interest rates will need to go up to get that.
With petrol, power, groceries all surging, the bank last month predicted inflation would lift from 5.1 to 5.9% by year's end. It's worse.
Inflation's too high. By the end of the year, I expect inflation to get to 7%.
The rare public comments caused instant reaction. Banks predicting hard, fast rate rises. Goldman Sachs was expecting a 0.25% hike in August and again in September. Now it's predicting a 0.5% jump each time, while Deutsche Bank goes even further, saying 0.5% in July and a heightened risk of 0.75% in August. For mortgage holders, it's a cruel irony. The RBA is effectively increasing the cost of living to try and bring down the costs of living. But Dr. Lowe says he's extremely confident that these measures and improving global factors will see inflation fall. When?
By the the first quarter of next year.
With warnings that a 7% inflation rise was an average, many goods would go far higher, especially essentials.
So you can't shield yourself from those price increases, and therefore the hit to the household budget is immediate and difficult to work around.
The supermarket giants today claiming to be doing their bit to help too. Woolworths putting a price freeze on 200 home brand products.
Making them immune from inflationary pressure means that customers can have some certainty on things that they're going to buy in their shop each and every week.
Coles countering with their own pitch.
We've got to work harder than ever to give value. We've got 1,500 products that year on year are still at the same price.
Consumers will be looking for savings, with the next rate hike expected at the RBA's upcoming July 5 meeting. Chris Reason, 7 News.
A youth court judge hearing the trial of a teenaged driver accused of causing a deadly crash has visited the scene of the tragedy. Judge Penny Aldridge inspected a section of the Princes Highway near Mount Gambier where 3 members of one family were killed in 2020. The court's been told the 17-year-old autistic learner driver was thinking about school when the crash happened. A dozen new fire trucks are on the way for the MFS. The Emergency Services Minister was at the Wakefield Street station today to make good on Labor pre-election promises.
In this year's budget, we have allocated $14.1 million in delivering new appliances for the Metropolitan Fire Service to better protect our state and to better support our frontline heroes, the firefighters.
But they'll be waiting a while. The first 6 trucks won't arrive until 2024. There were emotional scenes in court today as a monstrous childcare sex predator was jailed for 14 years. Bronte Sirakovic preyed on children too young to speak, then pleaded for leniency. His victims' parents say the damage he's caused is far from over.
This is Bronte Sirakovic, the man who destroyed these families when he preyed on their children.
I find it hard to trust people because of this man and the heinous things he did.
Vile sex acts carried out on 4 children, 2 of them at a northern suburbs childcare centre where he worked, a position of trust he abused. But it didn't stop at the sexual assault. He filmed and photographed his victims too.
I still have nightmares about him and have fears for many children, including my own, that weren't verbal at the time and could be victims.
His offending was uncovered in 2020 when a brave victim spoke up. But Sirakovic took more than 12 months to admit guilt, then pleaded for mercy. Today he was jailed for 14 years. The judge described him as a serious repeat offender and a danger to the community. You've offered no apology to your victims or families, he said, your colleagues or the community at large. And in what appears to have been yet another act demonstrating his lack of remorse, today he chose to wear his childcare centre work shirt to court.
His shirt was an absolute kick in the face. How that's allowed is totally beyond me.
The 31-year-old will be eligible for parole before Christmas in 2031, at which time his own children will be adults, but not all of his victims. Kimberly Pratt, 7 News.
A 23-year-old man is in a serious condition after a car he was a passenger in hit a tree on York Peninsula. The Monaro left the road near Waruka last night. The driver and another passenger received minor injuries. The York Highway was closed for a short time. SA-based soldiers have been put through their paces in a real-life combat simulation. 7 News was given rare access to the exercise, which took place at a former famous factory in Adelaide's north.
The Holden factory like you've never seen it before. Nearly 5 years after the car maker moved out, today the Army moved in.
Contact report, update, over.
Soldiers from the 7th RAR unit put through a battle simulation that took weeks to plan and just a few hours to execute.
Basically, we're using the old Holden facility because it offers a pretty unique training environment for my soldiers and my commanders and planners to go through the process of planning and executing attacks in a complex urban environment.
In this exercise, troops were ordered to raid the building and deal with whatever they encountered inside. These troops have just returned from helping with the East Coast flood emergency. This exercise will have them ready for combat when the need arises. just as it did in Afghanistan, where this unit was deployed a decade ago.
You can see battles from places like Mosul, Marawi and Mariupol, where the decisive action happens where the people live, in the urban centres. So if we were called upon to do so, then I want my soldiers to be well prepared to do that.
Mitchell Sariovsky, 7 News.
The greatest honour of all. That's how Brett Ebert has described Dad Russell's elevation to legend status in the AFL Hall of Fame. Just the 4th South Australian to join the illustrious club, Ebert's off-field work was remembered just as fondly as his incomparable on-field career.
A peerless career summed up in one word: legend.
32nd legend of Australian Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, obviously, right up there. He's not a person that enjoyed all the accolades. For someone that had won so much, there was no room in his office for any more trophies and medallions. But everything that he won, he put back on other people.
Front and centre was wife Diane, as the man they called God assumed his rightful place in footy's most exclusive club. An unrivalled resume: 392 Port Adelaide games, 29 matches for South Australia, 4 Magarey medals, a Port Adelaide club record, 6 best and fairests, and 3 premierships.
I would have loved to have heard him speak and deflect it from himself to the Riverland, the community, to Port Adelaide. You know, for over half his life was the off-field stuff and the 50 years at Port Adelaide, which I don't think anyone can beat that one around Australia.
Fellow South Aussie Matthew Pavlich joined Norwood Premiership captain and 6-time Redlegs Best and Fairest winner Michael Taylor in the Hall of Fame, alongside Brent Harvey and St Kilda champion and anti-racism campaigner Nicky Winmar. But the night undoubtedly belonged to the incomparable Ebert.
Russell Ebert and our Hall of Famers.
It would have been great to hear, but he was watching above and probably really proud of what he achieved.
An immortal, and now forever, a legend. Theodoropoulos, 7 News.
And some would say that it's about time.
Yeah, good on him. Congratulations to the Ebert family. It's just brilliant, isn't it?
Fabulous.
Absolutely brilliant.
What else is coming up in sport?
Well, a bit of history last night for Port there, of course. Some more history tonight at Alberton. The club's inaugural AFLW squad are training together for the first time. We'll speak to star recruit Erin Phillips in sport. Also, with Josh Rochelli's return confirmed, who'll make way in the forward line against the Suns on Sunday. And a racing performance fit for a king. Aussie sprint star Nature Strip put on a clinic at Royal Ascot, but the caller may need to re-earn his stripes. We'll explain a little all later.
Come on, Nature Strip's not that hard.
It isn't. You have to wait and see.
Okay, we'll wait and see what that's about.
It shouldn't be that hard, should it?
Thanks, Soda. After being put on ice for 6 months, a hugely popular morning seaside plunge has made a welcome return. That's next. Also, firefighters save a $2 million Prospect home from destruction. What the Australian share market plunge means for your super fund. And a cute and confident calf takes to the plains of Monarto Safari Park. Police are tonight hunting a firebug after a property under construction in Prospect went up in flames. The blaze started near pallets in the garage of the LaHunt Avenue house, with fire crews managing to save the $2 million property from ruin. A suspect with a torch was caught on camera moments before the fire broke out. Our share market lost further ground today, the ASX 200 closing almost 1.3% lower. That's a loss of 7% in the past 5 days and is now hurting our superannuation returns.
After shaving off more than $82 billion yesterday, today some red and green. The ASX 200 finishing down 1.27% at 6,601 points. Christmas colours, but no cause for celebration yet.
There's probably more to come. I believe we're halfway through the current bear market.
Rising inflation and interest rates are hurting share markets, dampening enthusiasm to invest in companies and buy their products and services.
Then investors will start to get confident again. I'm seeing that happening sometime in the next 6 to 9 months.
For the 11 months from July 1 to May 31, the median balance super fund fell 0.3%. But the recent slump puts it on track to finish the financial year on June 30, down 4 to 5%.
If we are down by 4 or 5%, that's offset against the previous return of 18%.
Super experts recommend checking you're comfortable with how much risk you're taking with your retirement savings.
Your super's focused on the long term. If you're not sure, it's probably best to talk to your fund or to your advisor.
All eyes are now on the US central bank, the Federal Reserve, which will announce its latest interest rate decision tonight. With inflation in the US running at 8.6% and the unemployment rate at 3.6%, the fear is that the Fed will hike interest rates too far and too fast, triggering a recession there, dealing a big blow to economic growth around the world, and crucially, here in Australia. Gemma Acton, 7 News.
The federal courts approved an $8.9 billion takeover of troubled casino operator Crown Resorts. The court's decision was the final hurdle in the approval process after Western Australia gave corporate giant Blackstone the green light. The takeover will be finalised on June 24th when the money between Blackstone and Crown changes hands. A popular dawn dip at Henley has made a chilly return this morning. Salty Sips was sidelined last year after being hit with a double whammy of COVID and insurance troubles. But it's now back thanks to help from the community.
At the crack of dawn, the water might be cold, but the welcome you'll get is warm.
We're so glad it's back. It's so good to see everyone again and have the whole community back together. Absolutely incredible this morning. I just feel so alive with it all, really.
After a 6-month hiatus, Salty Sips is back. A free midweek group swim at Henley to dust off the cobwebs and start the day right.
You're overcoming something even by jumping out of bed early, or we say meeting someone new, getting into the freezing cold water. I don't even know what temperature it is right now, but it's cold.
But last year, just as it was peaking in popularity, COVID hit. It also became so popular, organisers now needed insurance, and that's when the community stepped in. Founders Lily and Nikita won a 7 News Young Achiever Award and some sponsors in the process.
As soon as we won that award, we were able to build, just network at the event. Their help and financial support to kick it back up again, we were able to start, which was awesome.
And the local cafes couldn't be happier to have them back too, opening early just to service these salty swimmers.
Well, this is going to be the start of something great which they're going to build again.
This started out as a morning dip between 6 friends. Now hundreds of strangers share in the morning ritual, rain, hail or shine.
A community initiative making a big splash. Jasmine Turlings, 7 News.
Oh, those swimmers are very brave and they would have had to dodge the showers regardless of getting wet anyway. Amelia joins us now. And Mills, how long will our wet weather last?
Well, Jane, really just the odd shower about the city tonight. We did see the bulk of the action overnight and into this morning. Generally falls of up to 5 millimetres across the suburbs. As per usual, though, the best falls are about the Adelaide Hills, 10 to 20 millimetres overnight there. Then another 10 or more today. Clare picked up 11. And in the city, well, we've had almost 70 millimetres in the West Terrace gauge. It takes our rainfall total for the month to 79 millimetres, but true to form, the showers have been hit and miss. Noarlunga only picked up 0.5 millimetre today, but 0.2 around Kilburn, almost 3 at the airport. With moisture lingering tonight, there is low cloud about the hills, so drivers in the area are urged to take extra care. Dry skies are ahead, though. Details on that soon, Jane.
Thanks, Amelia. A corridor of land for a future Seaford rail line extension will be preserved. Details next. Also, moving house, royal style, William and Kate, to be closer to the Queen. Also, help for parents worried about what their children are doing online. And ahead, the secret spy technology being used by some big Aussie retailers. A possible train line to Aldinga is on the cards, with the Premier securing a corridor of land in the southern suburbs. It would allow for an extension of the Seaford line. The parcel was going to be sold off, but it'll now stay in state government hands.
But when we think about rail in the long term, we've got to make sure we preserve railway corridors that might be used in years down the track.
And it will be much further down the track. A rail extension isn't in the government's plans until at least 2030. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are reportedly leaving London for greener pastures. As the future king went to the races, William and Kate are said to be preparing to move closer to the Queen.
A royal day out at Royal Ascot. Charles and Camilla led the pack as the English sunshine beamed down. This is usually one of the Queen's favourite events, but many of Her Majesty's horses will race later in the week. A more sombre affair for William and Kate, remembering the victims of the Grenfell Tower fire 5 years after the tragedy. As reports emerge, they're preparing to leave London and relocate their young family to the Windsor estate, a cottage not far from the Queen and her castle, with no need for staff or renovations, closer to Kate's parents in rural Berkshire. The Duke and Duchess have lived in central London here at Kensington Palace for the last 5 years. Their children attend local schools, but all that will change with a move to Windsor, closer to William's old school, Eton. They'll move ahead of the start of the British school year in September. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Actress Amber Heard claims important pieces of evidence were left out of her defamation battle with Johnny Depp. In her first interview since losing the case, she spoke of the overwhelming social media campaign against her.
Doubling down on abuse claims dismissed by a jury.
To my dying day, will stand by every word of my testimony.
Amber Heard sat down to have the last word.
This was the most humiliating and horrible thing I've ever been through.
Her allegations of domestic violence in a 2018 opinion piece ended with a $15 million ruling against her.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
Throughout the 6-week trial, Depp fans crowded the court and threw their support behind him on social media.
The jury is not immune to that.
You think the jury saw it?
How could they not?
Describing her view from the witness stand.
Just a courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans.
Holding her feet to the fire, the breakfast host reminded Heard of audio played to jurors admitting she instigated some of the fights.
When you're living in violence and it becomes normal, you have to adapt.
Oh, you got this going? You got this going? Oh, really? In the closing arguments, the Depp lawyer called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer.
Insisting she only ever told the truth.
And that's all I spoke. And I spoke it to power, and I paid the price.
In the United States, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles has met Japan's Defence Minister in Tokyo for formal talks about the growing influence of China in the Pacific. Both leaders have pledged to step up joint activities to deepen Australian and Japanese military engagement in the region. Parents who fear Instagram is a bad influence on their children can now have greater control over their accounts. The changes are designed to promote conversations, but critics say they don't go far enough.
Wait, because I got the juice.
11-year-old Maya is a rising star on social media, but for now her mum Nicole manages her Instagram account.
At the moment, because they're still a child, I can manage her page and I can see what she's looking at, but when she turns 16, 17, I have no control over that.
New parental controls on the site are giving power back to parents. They can now see who their children follow or are followed by and what their child reports to Instagram. They can also monitor usage and set time limits.
It's a step in the right direction. It's certainly not a fix-all. There is an enormous amount of inappropriate content that still circulates all around Instagram.
A new family hub on the site providing access to mental health support.
To help create more constructive conversations between young people and parents about how they're using Instagram.
But there's one major catch. The parent and the child must both agree to the new controls before they can be activated. And even then, experts believe they can only go so far.
We want them to speak up when things go wrong. That is the most important thing you can get through to a child as a parent. It's when they go quiet and try and hide things that it can get all out of control.
Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
Some of our biggest retailers are using facial recognition technology on unsuspecting customers. That's next. Also, the mums taking control of their lives and creating booming business empires. And not your traditional Aussie pie, the unusual ingredients in the nation's best. Tech experts are demanding an immediate halt to the use of facial recognition on customers by some of Australia's biggest retailers. The businesses say it's to protect against violence, but critics scoff at that explanation.
Walking into your local Bunnings or Kmart today, every customer was being watched more closely than ever before.
Mate, look at my face if they want, pretty ugly.
While some see the lighter side of facial recognition technology, others say it's enough to make them stay away.
Well, I don't think it's a good idea. That's invasion of privacy.
After a tip-off, Choice started asking questions and the retailers, including the good guys, owned up.
We got a tip-off from a Choice member about Kmart, and that made us go and look a bit more deeply.
They say it's only to keep the staff and customers safe and identify shoplifters who might come back.
That major retail chains are routinely collecting facial data of customers should send a chill down the spine of anyone that cares about their personal privacy.
While Kmart says it only keeps the data for 30 days, Choice fears retailers could start selling off the information.
They're all concerned that there could be future uses for profiling or marketing.
Choice is ultimately calling for a wide-ranging investigation by the Information Commissioner. Other groups say this sort of use of technology should just stop until proper legal protections are put in place.
So we're calling on the new government to take some meaningful action to ensure that these technologies aren't rolled out without due protections.
Though not everyone sees the serious side.
It's the new reality, so it's all good.
Evan Batten, 7 News.
Mogul mums are taking control of their lives and creating booming businesses born out of a need to balance work and family life. Tonight, 7 News has the top tips on how to become a successful mumpreneur.
What started in a garage is now big business. Girls' sportswear label Impy recently moving to a new headquarters as orders boom.
So the first year was pretty slow, but then by the second year we'd actually doubled sales, and then this year again we've doubled sales again.
It started 3 years ago when Kim's young daughters began running. There was no age-appropriate activewear. She saw it as an opportunity to develop a clothing line while being more available for her kids.
You just want flexibility, so if you need to be at a sports event or you need to pick your kids up from school because they're sick, you've got that flexibility.
It's the same reason podcast producer Brianna Ansoldo launched her own business 7 years ago. After a successful singing career, she wanted a job better suited to having a young baby.
I wanted to be flexible in my work, and I wanted to be able to be there for all the moments that a little kid goes through.
There are an estimated 330,000 mumpreneurs in Australia, and that number is expected to grow as women strive for a better work-life balance.
Always having that end goal in mind, will this be flexible for me? Because there's a lot of jobs that aren't.
The top 5 business ideas for working from home include creating your own product like jewellery or clothing, becoming a blogger or freelance writer, selling a digital product like graphic design, becoming a virtual assistant, reviewing products online. The building blocks for a budding empire. Samantha Heathwood, 7 News.
Stargazers were treated to a rare occurrence last night with a supermoon lighting up the night sky. It reached its peak just before 10 p.m. The event's called a strawberry supermoon because it coincides with a Native American harvest. For the first time, a vegetarian treat has won the annual award for Australia's best pie. It contains 3 types of mushrooms, cheddar, parmesan, herbs and a truffle filling, wrapped in, of course, golden flaky pastry. The mushroom pie was made at a seaside bakery in Victoria.
The initial concept was more about getting truffle into a pie, but then I had to find something to pair it with, and mushroom just seemed to be the right fit.
And it's back-to-back for Rolling Pin Bakery's Nathan Williams, who won last year with a surf and turf pie. There you go. They all sound good.
I love a good pie. South Australia won Best Pasty too in that competition.
Well
Orange
done.
Spot Bakery down the bay.
Brilliant.
Yeah, very
Terrific.
nice indeed.
Now, can the Crows fit all their young forwards into the one team this weekend?
We've certainly got one really good one coming back. We're going to find out how they can manoeuvre all of the pieces to get them in. Also coming up, we're live to Alberton for Port's inaugural AFLW training session. We'll catch up with star recruit Erin Phillips. Dave Warner takes a screamer in Sri Lanka, while Johnny Bairstow belts the second fastest English ton in 120 years. And Aussie sprint star Nature Strip proves he's the best in the world at Royal Ascot. Hello again. Well, it's history in the making at Alberton tonight with the Power's inaugural women's squad training together for the first time. Andrew Hayes is there, and Hazy, well, it's the start of another chapter in Port's long and proud history.
It certainly is, Soda. A momentous occasion here at Alberton Oval tonight. The weather hasn't been overly kind, but it hasn't stopped the fans from turning up. Hundreds have turned up to watch the girls brave the elements. 22 contracted players who are going to pull on the till for the very first time. Of course, none bigger than star recruit Erin Phillips. She was limited at training after having minor knee surgery last week, but you still couldn't wipe the smile off her face.
Yeah, it still quite blows my mind, but you know, getting ready today, getting the footy bag packed and putting on the polo is it's unbelievable, and I still pinch myself.
Now, it's a big build-up to the Power's first game in August. Their new facilities are almost complete, and the draft is just 2 weeks away, where they'll have 7 picks to complete a list of 30. So, a history for the club here tonight, and also last night, where the late and great Russell Ebert was elevated to legend status at the AFL Hall of Fame. For his thoughts, here's the chairman, David Koch.
Russell was a legend in the eyes of a generation of football followers well before last night's elevation. He amazed us with his extraordinary feats on the field. But the true mark of the man was his selfless charity and community work. Port Adelaide's community youth program was set up by Russell in 1999 and is still being delivered in schools today. Congratulations to Russell's wife, Di, children Tammy, Ben and Brett on this well-deserved recognition of a truly remarkable career and man.
Yeah, absolutely, Koshy. Now, Josh Rochelli's return to the forward line could prompt a shuffle as the Crows try and block out the Suns on the Gold Coast. It'll be the 19-year-old's first game since round 10. He spent the past 3 weeks battling a nasty corked quad.
It's funny, when footy gets taken away from you when you're a young fella too, you miss 1 or 2 weeks, you're pretty keen to get back out there and play, and he certainly had a fair bit of enthusiasm today at training.
Paul Seesman made an appearance as his teammates went through their paces. Jordan Butts and Luke Brown will also return. Lockie Gallant has signed a new 2-year deal, while in the AFLW, Sarah Allen has also inked a 2-year extension.
Our success so far, and we just want to keep, building on that, and we really love the culture here. So it was, a really easy decision.
Righto, former Glenelg defender Sam Durden will play his first game for Carlton just 2 weeks after being picked up in the mid-season draft. He's the only change for tomorrow night's clash against Richmond at the G. Dustin Martin is out for the Tigers with illness. Tom Lynch returns, and the AFL says no further action will be taken against Melbourne over that drunken brawl between Jake Melksham and Stephen May, while skipper Max Gawn will miss up to 5 weeks with an ankle injury, and South Aussie Caleb Daniel has re-signed with the Doggies for another 4 years. Well, dual SANFL Premiership coach Jade Sheedy will miss Saturday's Eagles match against Central District due to COVID. Here's Seven's John Casey.
Jade Sheedy is the 7th SANFL coach this year to miss a game with COVID, and he'll be replaced by Eagles forward line leader Troy Hall. Woodville West Torrens midfield maestro Riley Knight missed round 6 with COVID, but remains a top Magarey medal fancy.
If you do get that accolade at the end of the year, it's amazing, but at the moment we're focused on winning games and getting through to the finals, and like I said, hopefully playing in another premiership would be very special.
Knight had 48 disposals against Sturt in round 8 and was best on ground against South in his last game in atrocious conditions, where a record 331 tackles were laid, winning by 1 point, not the only pain the Eagles inflicted on the Panthers.
They actually ran out of hot water over in the opposition change room, so I think they're a little bit flat with us about that.
Meantime, rising star Indy Rashid has taken out the SANFL Women's Goal of the Year for this effort in Sturt's grand final loss.
She is a super talented teenager.
The Eagles Centrals clash is the Channel 7 SANFL Game of the Week. Our live coverage starts 1 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah, thank you, Case. Look forward to that. Now, perhaps a little bit fragile from a big night out of celebrations. Our World Cup-bound Socceroos have just touched down at Sydney Airport after booking their spot in November's tournament. The Grey Wiggle, Andrew Redmayne, was greeted by his daughter Poppy, who inspired his now iconic celebration. And now New Zealand won't be joining us in Qatar after losing their playoff against Costa Rica 1-0. Well, teammates could hardly believe what they saw from Dave Warner in the one-day series opener against Sri Lanka.
Could be out. Oh, that's unbelievable. What a catch that is by David Warner. Outstanding.
Absolutely. Ashton Agar was left stunned. An unbeaten 80 from Glenn Maxwell helped the Aussies to a 2-wicket win with 9 balls to spare. While at Trent Bridge, Johnny Bairstow put on a show. He guided England to a 5-wicket win to take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-test series against New Zealand. His century came in just 77 balls. It's the fastest English test ton since way back in 1902. Well, he scaled Everest and now Nature Strip has conquered the world. On day one of the famed Royal Ascot Carnival, James McDonald steered Chris Waller's champion sprint at a victory in the Group 1 Kings Stand Stakes. The race caller, though, didn't quite nail
Nature
it.
Stripe leading to Acklam Express in second place. Twilight Calls coming home in third position, but it is the great Australian sprinter, Nature Stripe and James McDonald, and look how far they've won by.
Oh, let's go with Nature Strip, maybe. It's the first Aussie winner at Royal Ascot since Black Caviar back in 2012. God, Black Caviar, that was a decade ago.
Wow.
Remember when Luke Nolan just got her home and it was like the 22nd win on the trot? I can't believe that's 10 years ago.
And I stand by my earlier comment. Nature Strip is not hard.
Nature Strip, Nature Stripe.
Nature
Just
Stripe.
mucked it up at the wrong time.
Thanks, Sada. Now with a check of the day in finance, here's Gemma again.
Thank you. No hoped-for recovery for Aussie shares today. The ASX 200 dropping another 85 points to close at 6,601. Losses were spread right across the board, with Afterpay owner Block once again one of the poorest performers. The Aussie dollar slipped under 69 US cents overnight, but has since made a modest recovery, while gold has narrowly avoided dropping below 1,800 US dollars, for now at least. And Australia's rental crisis worsened last month as the vacancy rate fell yet again. Now that looks at the number of rental properties that are actually available. Adelaide has the fewest residential vacancies and Melbourne the most.
Thanks, Gemma. It's nearly time for a ray of sunshine with Amelia. That's after the break.
And after showers today, would you believe a mostly sunny day is on the forecast in the week ahead? All those details up next.
Time for more on the weather now, and Amelia joins us again. And Mills, we've got a bit of sunshine on the way.
Jane, we do. We can expect mostly sunny skies to kick off the weekend and look a little warmer then too. For now, we'll enjoy the rainbows. This one snapped over Woodchester near Strathalbyn by Chris Katona. A little earlier today in the city, our top was 16.2 degrees. Right now it's around 13, and we had northwesterly winds for the most part, but they swung southwesterly this afternoon, and that bumped up the chill factor. Those winds are packing a bit of moisture, and that's what helped along today's shower activity across the south of the state too. But dry skies are on the way as a low pressure system and trough move out the way over the eastern states overnight, making room for a high pressure system that's in our west. Now it'll slowly head east over coming days, clearing conditions as it goes. Interstate tomorrow, up to 22 degrees in Perth. 24 is the top for Brisbane. Showers and 15 on the way for Melbourne. Back home, staying sunny across our far north tomorrow. Early fog is a chance about the Flinders, Eyre Peninsula and in the west. So possibly a foggy start in the morning in Ceduna. Up to 19 degrees there tomorrow. Port Lincoln, Whyalla and Port Augusta are all going for a top of 18. There is still a chance of a shower about some of those centres, but they're more likely about the mid-north and our southeast. A shower or two is on the way and a top of 17 for Kadina and Victor Harbour. Dry and 18 in Kingscote, Murray Bridge and in Renmark, and showers and 15 for Mount Gambier. In the outback, floodwaters are expected to reach Lake Eyre in the next couple of weeks. Tonight, low cloud is reducing visibility on the road in the hills, and tomorrow expect strong winds about the lower southeast coast. In the city, down to 11 degrees overnight, then a top of 17s on the way. We are expecting a shower too, and they'll probably be during the morning. On metro waters, west to southwesterly winds to 15 knots, dropping below 10 during the morning, then becoming north to northwesterly at night with seas below that metre mark. Taking a look ahead, and dry skies on Friday, 16's the top then mostly sunny by Saturday, up to 18 degrees. Then the cloud builds Sunday with showers likely from Monday down to just 14 on Tuesday. Now, let's check out tonight's ray of sunshine. Just 5 days old, Monato's newest member's already strutting its stuff in front of visitors. The 1.8 metre tall baby was born to mum, Scarlett, in the exhibit during a giraffe safari. The newborn spent time nuzzling with mum and will be able to play with brother Azizi, who's returned to the park after a stint at Adelaide Zoo. The herd is now 21 members strong. And visitors at Safari Park will have a chance to name the little one ahead of World Giraffe Day. Keep an eye on Monato's Facebook page for details on that. Jane, maybe Robin, Barry or Morris after that clip.
Indeed. Thanks, Amelia. Well, that's all the news we have for now. I'll have updates through the evening, but from all of us here in the Adelaide 7 newsroom for now, good night.